Hi, I'm Femi OK and you're in the stream. Today, a very special conversation with a singer-songwriter called Yuna. Now, if you haven't heard of her, I think you're going to be thanking me by the end of the show for the introduction. Don't go away. So normally our digital producer Malika Bilal, she's looking out for your live feedback, but in this instance with this particular guest, the live feedback came to us, right?
It really did.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. So I discovered Yuna in 2010. My sister recommended me, she said, you should check out this, you'd love it.
Okay.
I did. So we asked the same thing of our community members.
Sure.
What was their first experience with her music? And we heard from lots of people. Aisha on Twitter writes in, I heard there was a hijabi, wears a scarf, Malay singer who sings a cover of Nirvana's Come As You Are. I found it better than the original. One more person sent in their experience. Stephanie on Twitter says, I was teaching English in Malaysia in 2009 when I first heard her song on the radio, and I learned it phonetically. Now we're also joined by a few members of our community and the Google Plus Hangout. They have lots of questions for Yuna, all coming up. But of course, for those of you at home, we want to hear from you as well. So tweet us your questions, your comments. Just make sure you use the hashtag AJStream.
So Yuna is ready for the conversation. She's ready for your questions. Yuna, are there any questions where you think, okay, that one again, ones that just keep coming up that you go, okay, I know that the community is going to ask me about this and this and this?
Well, one question I think that a lot of people ask me is, I think, mainly because they're excited about it, is, oh, how is working with Pharrell like, because like I think it's such a, it's so random if you think about it, like I'm relatively new and then like, I come to LA and I record my first album and then the first person that I, get into the studio with is Pharrell Williams. So but I'm cool about answering the questions over and over again, so it's fine.
All right, okay, so we've done the Pharrell one. Pharrell, tick the box. Now, for those of you who don't know Yuna, her music is very mellow, it's soulful, and here's a clip from one of her latest songs. It's called Rescue. So Yuna is hardly a typical pop star. She holds a law degree, she's an entrepreneur and a fashion icon, balancing devotion to Islam with a career in music. She got her start on MySpace as a solo artist, that was back in 2006, and achieved huge success in her home country, Malaysia, where she can't walk down the street without getting mobbed. Now her second album, Nocturnal, released last year, is getting some great reviews. So let's get right into the conversation. I have a little something on my laptop. I'm going to show it to you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah,
okay. You have a microphone here and you are singing. Do you even remember that moment? What is going on there?
Oh my God. I actually, this is really weird, but I actually remember that moment. I'm so young, I was so young, but I remember that microphone. I was obsessed with it. I just wanted to hold it and sing. So yeah, I definitely remember.
What were you actually singing?
That I can't remember. I don't know, some stuff that probably like la la la.
All right, so we're going from sort of like
talk.
toddler music, and then heading back to my laptop here. I'm just going to go to this shot, which is beautiful, which again is like you and music at a very early age bonding. Can you remember when it was that you decided this is really touching me?
Music, well, I guess I remember driving to school. I mean, me and my mom would send me to school, and it's we live like about 30 minutes drive from where I go to school, and then we would listen to music all the time and we would sing together. So I remember that, wow, you know, this is a lot of fun, music, and I keep like looking for cassettes to play in the car, and
cassettes. This is aging
like,
you.
I know.
I used to play DVDs when I was a kid.
When I was like 7 years old. So
Right.
it was wonderful. You know, like it felt so great to be able to like have something new and put it into the, you know, cassette deck and like play it. You know, it was refreshing every time I do it. So
Sure.
yeah, that's definitely one of the first moments where I was like, yeah, maybe, you know, like I think this is something that I would like to get into when I'm old enough, you know. So yeah.
Well, one of the things I'm noticing online is people say that you transcend boundaries. Batong writes in on Twitter, he says, I like her voice. He likens you to Norah Jones, but he says, you're unique. And he says it's true that music transcends language and cultural and religious barriers. But another aspect I'm seeing is a lot of love from your home country and where you all started. Muhammad Hanif says, you're adorable. You make us proud of our country, Malaysia, and we hope that you can replicate your talent to the wide world. Since we're talking about Malaysia and we're talking about your origins, I want to go to our hangout for someone who has a question there. Claire, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering, so, you used to sing a lot in Malay, and now more of your songs are in English, which I'm really glad about. I probably wouldn't have heard of you if you hadn't put out a lot of songs in English, but I was wondering why English, and maybe what are some advantages and disadvantages of each language, and maybe some cultural differences between the two.
Yeah, well,
Sorry,
I mean,
that's a lot of questions.
no, it's fine. It's a really good question. I actually started out, I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but I started out, you know, as a singer-songwriter, and the first few songs that I wrote were probably, you know, like in English. Like I never used to write Malay songs before, probably because like I wasn't really, you know, good at it. You know, I think you need to be really thorough and really, you know, you need to be really careful with Malay words, you know, to put into a song. You know, it has to be melodic.
Can you explain
poetic.
that for us? Because for those of us who don't speak Malay,
Yeah.
that's a hard concept to get our head around.
Oh, yeah. For example, like in English, you know, it's just so easy. Like it could be as simple as just writing a letter to someone, you know, and then like it becomes a song, and it's easy as rhyming those, you know, like those words. And
So English rhymes better than Malay?
well, Malay, I could definitely rhyme in Malay as well, but it's just there's a lot of syllables, like, you know what I mean, like, and then there's a lot of words in Malay that's just so poetic, and you need to know when to put this word in, you know, like it's a beautiful language. So I had to kind of just, you know, practice a lot in terms of like Malay music, so which is probably why I probably have like 50 English songs in my laptop, and I have like 6 Malay songs. You know what I mean?
I have a Malay song on my laptop. And
like
just
I
so
recorded
happens.
6 Malay songs within the last 6 years.
I've got one. I love this song. It's called Terukir di Bintang.
Terukir di Bintang, yeah.
Exactly how I said it. What does that actually mean?
It means written in the stars. This is one of my favorite Malay songs, and
It's
I
beautiful.
wrote
I
it.
love it.
Thank you.
We're going to play some of it,
Of
and then you
course.
can tell us a little bit more about it. So here we go. One of Yuna's favorite Malay songs. how gorgeous is that? I think if you ever needed anything in this world, you would just sing that song and they would just give you whatever you wanted. What are you actually singing about here?
Well, Terukir di Bintang is a love song, and I was trying to, kind of sort of replicate the melodic and simple songs that I used to listen to as a kid from Malay, like classic Malay films, like from the 60s, from the 50s.
It sounds so 60s and so pure and gorgeous.
That was what's so cool about it. I would spend like
it's like Audrey Hepburn. If Audrey Hepburn was Malaysian and she could sing, or even in any of the songs that she's supposed to be, but that in me, it's like a little Audrey Hepburn song. Our time is flying by. It's crazy. So Malika, what do you have?
There's so much to get through. So I want to go back to our hangout because there's one guest who's actually met you before. I have been pulling up a picture on my screen now of Saiful. Saiful met you after he opened for you, and there's a picture of him rocking out on the microphone. Saiful, go ahead.
Yeah, hi Yuna.
Hi.
Do you still remember me?
I guess. I think so. Wait, you'd open for me?
Oh, it's in school in Kuantan. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Hi.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
How
It's like
doing?
4 a.m. or something.
Oh no, I'm in UK now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you went abroad.
Yeah.
I'm just like slowly getting back to
love
me.
the catch up. But Saiful, you had a question.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I was wondering, like, as a Muslim woman who's tried in American music industry, how do you find being a Muslim? Does it affect your career at all, or does it help or hinder, or doesn't really matter? Or what do you think?
For me personally, I don't try to think about it so much. Like I have the same attitude in music. Like in Malaysia as well, I started out with this kind of just like, okay, I'm just gonna try and do it regardless people like me or not. I'm just gonna do it. Just be positive about what people are gonna think about my music or about me. And I've never had any problems at all, to be honest with you. Like the 3 years that I've had here in America, it's been breezy, and I never went through anything bad or anything like that. So I met a lot of friends, I met a lot of interesting people to work with, and I'm really happy. It's probably like the best 3 years of my life, I think. So yeah.
Malika, go ahead.
I know you said you haven't had problems, and I think that's very fortunate for you, but our community members are saying, and even from my own experience, that music is not always smiled upon in our communities. Aisha writes that on Twitter. We know Asian Muslim parents, she says in particular, are hard work. How have your parents been so chill with you taking music as a career?
Yeah, no, they've been super supportive, and especially my dad. He's a music enthusiast. He used to be in a band in college, so he really understood. When I went through that, like that phase of just like gigging and like going to gigs and performing with a band, and he understood that, and he was like surprised that I could, play the guitar and perform, just kind of like doing the things that he was doing when he was younger. So my mom as well, she was really supportive of me coming to LA and record my album. And they're really cool parents. And obviously every parents, they want their children to be successful. And like obviously university is, I went through that as well. So obviously that's a priority. Education is a priority.
Right, you're a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer, but I graduated, but I didn't go through the honors program that I was supposed to. So music was just like I kind of like thought to myself, like, okay, if I were to give like 100% focus, would it be in the legal department or music? So I was like, okay, like as I'm doing this music thing, why don't I just like focus 100% on music? So
what's interesting is that I've seen a number of interviews in the US about you and online, and the interviews are very positive, your conversation is very positive, but also underneath them there's some very, very scathing comments. Now some of it, this is just being online, to be honest. YouTube, anywhere online, you're going to get scathing comments, but the scathing comments are not just coming from the US, but also from your own community as well. And you said, you've been very lucky and you feel that you've come through sort of unscathed. But there is right now, certainly in America where you're now living, there is this challenge with America understanding, integrating, reaching out to its American Muslim community. Are you seeing that, or are you just oblivious to that because everybody listens to you sing and then they just bowled over by you and it doesn't matter? I'm just wondering how do you avoid that? It's like trying to be avoiding racism and you're black. It's a tough thing to do.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I came out here. I know that these things are they're present all the time. Especially like here in America, but I don't give into that so much, like I'm just here, I want to do music, and when I meet people, I'm just like, everybody, I feel like everybody who came to work with me, they've been super supportive and super sweet about everything, and yeah, that's why probably like you probably think I'm lucky to be able to meet her. So I mean, like
it's unusual. I'm going to say it's unusual. Yeah.
Probably. I mean, like probably there are like a lot of like negative comments out there, but I don't give into that. You know what I mean? Like I tend to just like, okay, let's just focus on what's important here. Like like what are you here for? And I'm here to make music and to make people happy. And as long as that shines through, I think people are gonna accept that. They're gonna from not understanding me and my culture, maybe the things that I do, that I try to convey in my music, maybe that could change something, that could change the perception of people towards me as a person, and also where I come from.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, some of that negative perception, of course, comes across simply because of what you and I wear. And speaking of wearing, I pulled up on my screen here an Instagram page of your fashion line that you recently launched. And I want to go to our hangout next because someone in there is a fashion designer, and I've also pulled up a picture here on my screen of Yuna with her, Ala, picking out fabric. So Ala, go ahead.
Oh, hey Yuna.
Hey.
Hey Monica. Congratulations on the fashion line.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I actually had a question for you because I am launching a collection very soon, inshallah. I wanted to ask you if you have any other tips for marketing outside of social media. Right now we solely depend on Instagram and Twitter to market our stuff, but what if you wanted to expand beyond that and reach a different niche, like a different market? Have you thought of that? Have you taken any steps for that?
Well, I guess like I'm new myself. I literally just launched my my fashion line 14 November, and I think what people are embracing Instagram these days. Like they like I have probably like 50% of the comments on my Instagram page was people promoting their boutique or their online store, and that's one way to go. I think that's easier now because like you have like a 15-second video thing on Instagram. I feel like designers, especially like yourself, like us, we're starting a new thing here. I feel like it's important to come up with something cool visually, and what I did like 2 weeks ago was putting together like a video, kind of just like a lookbook video, but it's specifically for Instagram, and I feel like that's the future. I think like short, but kind of like short and sweet lookbook videos that I feel like could attract people to embrace your brand. I feel so. I think that's my tip.
Talking about guys, I'm just going to show one quick picture, then I'll come back to you because who is that piping up there? Who was that? I hear voices. Who was that? I'll come back to you. All right, okay. I gave you a gap, you missed your chance. All right, so you arrive at Union Station in Washington yesterday. I'm on your Twitter feed, Washington, D.C. Look at the picture of you at the station. You look like you're on a mega photo shoot. You are stunning.
Oh, thank you.
It's like you take how you look, and it's not just for on screen, it's not just for the music videos, it really is part of you. And I know people talk to you about it quite a lot, but it was this picture that just made my jaw drop, because even in a boring old train station, you basically look like a rock star.
Oh, I think it's just red lipstick. I mean.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
note to self. Malika.
I want to go to our hangout now and speak to another person from Malaysia. Zan, go ahead.
Hi, Yuna.
Hey, Zan, what's up?
Hey, how are you? We were tweeting yesterday, and now your mother is following me on Twitter. So I mean, you've read the column that I wrote, and I kind of question the fact that you being successful in the US. Could it be because of talent, or could it be because of exoticism? But if you read my article, I'm really saying that it's a whole package. We cannot take that away from you. We cannot take your effort and talent away from you. But you know, in the US, as the issue that was mentioned just now, people you know, they see something, they're trying to embrace something that they don't know, like Islam and Muslim. I mean, after 9/11, maybe now it's like a healing process. So do you feel like a sense of responsibility that when you rising as a phenomenon, as an icon, that is slowly making maybe cross-culture understanding, and also, you know, you're a phenomenon in Malaysia, and you know, like any other multicultural, multi-religious country, we have tensions. So do you see yourself as, you know, having a little bit of obligation, a little bit of responsibility of bringing people together in the United States, in Asia, in even Malaysia?
Well, I mean, obviously, I cannot run away from that. You know, like I'm a musician. You know, I'm in the public eye, and obviously, you know, I have an identity. But yeah, like you said, you know, like when I came here, like obviously I had like a mental preparation of like, oh, like, for example, like Islamophobia, you know, is still around. But you know, I feel like if I can make good music, great music, you know, like that could all be, you know, like in the healing process, like you said, you know, it's a part of the healing process, and I'm happy to be a part of it. But yeah, I definitely feel like you know, I have responsibility in some way, you know, like but that's pretty, for me, as a person, it's pretty easy for me because I don't sing about, you know, like violence or sex and drugs, and you know, like I that's not who I am. And I sing, and most of the things that I sing about is like about true human emotions, and you know, like love, and like, for example, Rescue is about, you know, like empowering, and yeah, you know, because that's what I want to do as a person, not something that I pretend to be, you know, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be singing about peace and love. It's just that because like I do want to.
You have a soundtrack in your head that's going the whole time?
A soundtrack in my head?
Yeah. Do you always have music in your head?
Oh, I mean, not really. I mean, sometimes, like, it depends, you know, when I'm traveling, when I'm like on tour and something like that, and I have music in my head, and I'm like, okay, this sounds really cool, we should make a music out of this, you know, make a song out of this. And yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah.
We have so much more to talk about.
I know.
So much more. We're going to get personal. We're going to talk about really how you actually write songs, which would be great. Malika, what else do you have on your to-do list or to talk list?
A little bit of inspiration and where it comes from.
Okay.
Where your songs, how they originate. Lots of questions on that.
All right. Cool. Okay, so don't go away. That's a teaser if ever I heard one for the post show at stream.aljazeera.com. Meanwhile, the next show, we'll be looking at the boom in Bitcoin. We'll look at who's trying to get rich from the internet's most popular digital currency, savvy investment, or bubble waiting to burst. We are going to sing you out of this part of the show with Yuna, and we will leave you with one of her latest tracks called Falling. Have a listen. Hello again, this is the online post show. We're carrying on our conversation with the Malaysian pop star Yuna. The time went.
Yes!
Amazing. Let me just check in with the Hangout. Hangout, how are you doing? Any more questions that you want to just pipe up with, or any observations from the conversation you've been listening to so far? Claire, hello.
Yeah, hello. I was wondering, you have talked about this a bit, but your music is really personal to you. Is it ever difficult to be that vulnerable, and how do you kind of overcome the fear of really bearing your soul as you do in so many of your songs?
Wow. Well, you know, being a singer-songwriter, I think like I kind of got used to it. You know, I've been writing for like 8-9 years now. So, you know, I'm so used to just like, okay, I'm gonna be, you know, like talking about something, you know, close to me, like close to my personal life. And but at the same time, you know, there sometimes like I just want to write music based on whatever, you know, like not based on my story. You know, it can be my story all the time. I want to talk about other people's story as well. And yeah, I kind of see myself as a storyteller more than a, you know, an artist, like a musician. Yeah,
So when you're telling stories and you're telling not your story, where are you getting these stories from? Because
from my friends.
Really, so if I'm your friend, would I find one of this? Would I find my story in one of your songs? Is that possible?
I'm sorry, what?
Would I find one of my stories if I happen to?
Well,
Really?
I mean, like I draw inspiration from everything. You know, like the conversations that I had probably with my best friends, and you know, like if they come to me and they come crying and they're like, you know, bearing their soul, and I feel like that's so beautiful, you know. And I mean, sometimes there's, you know, everyone has a different story. For example, like with love, you know, with love and loss, you know, I never experienced like losing someone to, you know, like a car accident or something like that, you know. So you don't really know how to relate to this person, but you know, you could, you know, maybe talk about it and, you know, like pass that message on to other people who maybe could relate to that, and you know, make them heal from that.
That makes your songwriting process feel very random then, because those moments are not going to be coming up when you're writing for your album necessarily. So what do? Do you collect them? Do you save them?
Well, sometimes I you know, like I have a journal that I write from time to time. And whenever I think about something, whenever I watch a movie, or like, you know, there's something that I read that's like really, you know, oh, this is, you know, really beautiful. This is like a beautiful sentence that maybe could be used in a song, and you know, I would write them down, and then I would go into the studio, and that's when, you know, like you can't really bare your soul in the studio. Like you have like a schedule, right? You have a deadline, so you can't really like, okay, this is when I'm gonna cry and be emotional. No, it's not always like that. So this is the time when I go back to, you know, my journals, or like, you know, like I maybe have co-writers as well. You know, they would come in and like help me out, and to convey whatever, you know, like whatever I want to say in a song. So yeah, normally it's like that, the process of, you know, making a song, making an album.
Well, speaking of where you got your music and your inspiration from, you know, earlier you mentioned the difference between writing in Malay and writing in English, and I think one of the things that I'm noticing community talk about, and even we were talking about in our earlier meetings, is the concept of love, and if it's easier to express in one language over the other, and whether there are cultural limitations to expressing some of the things you express in your English songs in your Malay songs.
Well, no, not really. I mean, I'm kind of like, I feel like 90% of the songs that I wrote, you know, for the past like 7 years, you know, they're about love and, you know, relationships, and like love and loss, or maybe like unrequited love. So
things most of us can relate to in some way or
I
another.
mean, like that's normal, you know. It's not something that, oh, you know, there are limitations, like you can't sing about human feelings. You know, we all have feelings, right? I mean, we all went through something that is unexplainable, and you know, and people don't necessarily maybe like talk about that, but when they listen to a song, they could relate to it. Like, for example, I have the song Decorate. It's about you know, like it's about two people who were in a household together, and then, you know, losing, you know, someone to something, and you know, how this other person keeps everything the way it is just in case this other person come back. But right. You know, it's more of like, I've never went through that personally, because I've never, you know, I'm not married. I've never lived with anybody before. So yeah, I mean, but a lot of other people could relate to that. So, you know, in terms of like songwriting, sometimes it's important to kind of just like maybe play a role, or like, you know, talk about something that not necessarily you have gone through, but other people have gone through that certain, you know, situation.
Hi, Yuna. I have more of a statement rather than a question. You see, in Malaysia, you've created a phenomenon. People are coming together. I mean, Malaysia has very little superstars, right? We were lacking in superstars, and we have Datuk Lee Chong Wei, the world #1 badminton player, and you can see how the country rallies behind him. And now you are at the international stage. So you're very inspiring, and you've created this national pride in Malaysia. And if you're back here, you can actually see that people are actually coming together, you know, because of their pride in you. So you know, it's just, I think it's my hope, and probably Malaysia's hope, that, you know, you stay at it and be in it for a long run, and we're all behind you.
Oh, thank you.
And at that point, the crowd goes wild and there's crazy applause.
Thank you, Zain. Appreciate it.
When I was looking at your Twitter feed yesterday, the response to you being in Washington DC was a little bit crazy.
Like, people were like,
"Wow, she's amazing."
We don't get the same response.
No, we don't. I was like, I'm in DC. It's like, whatever. But one of the things I noticed is that people are very attached to you. Your songs are very personal. People are very interested in you as a person. So I'm going to get a little bit more personal. First of all, I start off with the easy question. Your songs are so mellow. They're sort of like you wave your candle, your hand in the air. Nobody's getting up and dance. Do you actually dance?
Well, I mean, like, I move. I mean, I'm a terrible dancer.
Okay.
So don't get me started on that part. But yeah, I mean, like, when I'm performing, you know, I like to move to the, you know, be the music, and yeah, no, I mean, like, that's what music is for. You know, that's
sure.
it's I feel like that's you know, it's.
All right. So dancing, no. Singing, yes.
Singing, yes.
Give us a little lullaby, something beautiful, maybe in Malay, to sing to us, just to serenade us a little bit.
Okay. This is the first song, the first Malay song that I wrote. It's called Dan Sebenarnya. Oh bulan, enggan melayan diriku lagi, apabila air mata membasahi pipi, dan lagu-lagu di radio seolah-olah memerli aku, apabila kau bersama yang lain.
That's beautiful.
I'm crying inside. That is so gorgeous.
Thank you.
Without even knowing what it means.
I have no idea. No, what does it mean? What does it mean?
It means, oh moon, why won't you talk back to me anymore? It's a song about conversation. It's a conversation with the moon that I'm having, and you know, talking about like how I miss this person, and then like he maybe, you know, doesn't think about me, or maybe he does, you know. So that's Sebenarnya.
Do we have a dating life going on, Miss Universe?
Maybe. Next question, please.
Okay, I respect your privacy. You can tell us after the show.
I'm going to dip into community just to give you a sense of what the kind of things I'm seeing on my tweet deck right now. So one person writes in, when I get my salary at the end of the month, I'm buying her CD. Nice, refreshing voice, I must say. Yuna is the name to remember. Hind writes in, friend of the show. I saw Yuna perform at a Chicago community event a few years ago, and she had the whole audience mesmerized, babies to imams, prayer leaders alike. And I want to end this community section with looking towards the future. Jim writes in on Facebook, do you have any plans in 2014 to do soundtracks, and will you do a duet?
Oh, I would love to do soundtracks to films. I mean, I had so much fun working with the Croods. You know, DreamWorks contacted me, and you know, to be a part of this the soundtrack for the theme song, actually, for the Croods, the animation film with Owl City, and I had so much fun. So yeah, definitely that, and as well as Savages, I was singing the I was singing a cover for the end credits. And yeah, I know it's a lot of fun working with film. So definitely, I would love to be a part of something in this year. And other than that, it's touring, and I'm excited. I'm excited. We're going to Europe for the first time this year as a band, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see my European fans. And
what I'm amazed at when I see your transition from a youngster to now, which is just pure sophistication and there's beautiful sounds that you're making, is that I found a little audition from yours from 2006, 1 in a Million.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that show?
Oh my God, that was
talent show.
Oh yeah, it was a talent show, and that was nerve-wracking. I've never done anything like that before. And I was probably waiting for 12 hours getting into that room. So what you see in this clip is like after 12 hours of waiting. I'm just like, I don't care. I just want to sing and go home right now. So, but it was a lot of fun, yeah.
2006, the auditions of 1 in a Million. After 12 hours of waiting, this is what happened.
What you gonna sing?
I'm gonna sing Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Why are you singing that song?
Because I think this is the only song that could show my true voice.
Really? You're joking. Really?
Okay,
you must have a hell of a voice. This I have to hear, yeah.
Okay, should I start?
Yeah.
Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, didn't mean to make you cry. If I'm not back again this time tomorrow, carry on, carry on.
That was Yuna Zarai back in 2006. That girl has potential. We could chat to Universe for the entire day. We do not have the entire day, but we do have time just very quickly to check in with Malika with some other stories that we're following from around the world.
A turf war is brewing in France between traditional taxi drivers and private hire companies like Uber. On Monday, several Uber cars were reportedly attacked by cab drivers during a protest against new private companies. One passenger tweeted, "Got attacked by cab drivers on strike near Paris airport. Smashed windows, flat tires, vandalized vehicle, and bleeding hands." Well, the French government recently passed a decree in favor of traditional cab services, but drivers still say they face tougher restrictions than private companies. John explains on Twitter, Uber and the like have an unfair advantage against taxis because taxi rates are fixed by law, whereas Uber operates according to market principles. Well, the protests involve taxi drivers delaying traffic between Paris's 2 major airports. But not all cab companies were involved. One company apologized on behalf of the overwhelming majority of non-striking drivers. "We wish to apologize for this intolerable misbehavior." Well, Uber France also condemned the violence. Parisians have a choice, and today's incident will certainly not tempt Parisians into choosing a taxi for their next ride. Our next leads out of India, where the fight against sexual violence is taking the form of a lightweight handgun geared towards women. The Nirbeek, Fearless in Hindi, was designed by a manufacturer, Indian Ordnance Factory, in tribute to 2012 gang rape victim Nirbhaya. The company is already receiving applications for the gun, which costs $2,000. Many online argue that a weapon is not a solution to rape in India, where an assault is reported every 20 minutes. Narayan tweets, "Rapists can buy it too. Improve law enforcement and male attitudes instead." For more on these stories we're following, check out stream.aljazeera.com. Femi?
I have delayed it as long as I possibly can. I've delayed it until the point where they're going to pull the plug out of the internet. That happens for our online show.
That's how you know it's a good post show.
Yeah, so I have to say thank you very much to our Google Hangout. Thank you very much for all of your questions. Really appreciate it. Yuna, it's been great having you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We can catch up with you online at Universe. So I'm going to wrap up this part of the show very reluctantly and move on to what we're doing next. Well, on the next AJ stream, the boom in Bitcoin, we look at who's trying to get rich from the internet's most popular digital currency. Is it a savvy investment or maybe a bubble waiting to burst? Until then, we'll see you online. Take care.